Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna from Created and Made, and today I'm going to show you guys how I took a regular old piece of crumpled aluminum foil and I transformed it into these really beautiful, really interesting, what I'm calling faux leather sheets. And I'm going to show you how I made a couple of these projects. So, fun stuff ahead. Stay tuned. Okay, so to start off with, I'm showing you my piece of flattened aluminum foil. I will link a video up top of where I created this piece of flattened foil. It was my video about doing Dollar Tree foam plate printing, right? So I had taken a piece of crumpled foil and I made a printing plate with it. I'm using a piece of aluminum foil and a foam dinner plate, and when I flattened it through my Sizzix die cutting machine, it came out of there so flat, so smooth, so kind of sturdy and durable that I was like, this is incredible. I'm going to try to do something with this. And so here we are. Now I'm just showing you the process all over again here in case you didn't catch that video, but you really should, go back and watch that video. I crumpled up the aluminum foil as you saw. I'm using a piece of Kirkland sturdy, I forget the name. It's from Costco, but it's the sturdy roll, and it was pretty large. I think the roll is like 18 inches wide, but I balled it down so it can fit inside of my big shot, which is 9 inches by, I don't know, 15 inches, the tray there, something like that. So as you see, I ran it through my machine and I was able to get this really smooth, sort of flattened paper, but it still has that great texture from being crumpled. Now, the trick with the crumpling is you want to uncrumple it, but you don't want to uncrumple it too much, right? And if there are holes in it, if you create a hole accidentally, you can just pinch that together and keep going, right? So it's very sort of versatile process that you can do to create this. So what I'm showing you now is how I get that faux leather look. I have this on fast forward obviously, but I'm using some acrylic ink in various shades of brown. I will list them in the description if you're interested in these inks. And I am just rolling them out with my tiny brayers. Now you don't need a tiny brayer. You can use a regular brayer or a paintbrush or whatever, but whatever method you use to create this sort of uneven application. And that's what I'm doing. I'm rolling the paint out, the acrylic ink out. I'm, burnishing it throughout the page with my brayer. And then I'm drying it so that I can get ready for a next layer. Now, what I did just then is I took my blending, my Ranger, the blending tool, and I put some alcohol on it and I kind of cleared some spaces on the paper so that I can continue to sort of get that mottled look. And so here you have my finished version. Look how incredible that looks. That looks like actual fabric. And what I'm going to do with it now is I'm cutting it down to 4x6 so that I can use these to make covers for some little books that I'm going to end up making. Now, I am also going to add a little bit more texture to this, and to be honest, it's a lot of texture. You could really skip this step, but I'm adding a little bit more texture to it by using it with one of Tim Holtz's 3D texture fade embossing folders. Now you can see that looks kind of like it has like a quilted finish. That one ended up being one of my favorites. But as you can see also is that these 3D texture fade embossing folders, they're pretty thick, right? And so the paper that you put in there has to be thick enough and strong enough so that it doesn't rip. And this is aluminum foil. I would have expected it to rip, but with that crumpling and the flattening effect, it makes it actually very sturdy and very strong. So now I'm just going to show you guys really quickly how I made the covers for some of the journals that I'm going to put together. And this is double-sided tape. It is a 5-inch roll. I love my big old double-sided tape rolls. And what I am doing now is sticking a piece of chipboard down to the double-sided tape foil, and I'm just bending this over. I've done this process before. I'll link a video up top if you want to see like a, sort of a slower motion version of me doing this, but I'm just folding over the edges. It has the sticky double-sided tape on it, and now I took a piece of another piece of the foil that I hadn't put any ink on, and I'm just using it as a liner page. And I'm going to stick this down to cover up that piece of the chipboard that is still exposed. And I mean, this is a very versatile technique to make covers out of almost anything. And if you're going to make a journal, make a little book, make a diary or something, this is a great way to make a cover out of that. Now, so that's what I used to make the covers. I'm going to show you the journals I created with those at the end. But I'm going to show you this particular project from start to finish. This is me using a full piece of that paper that I put the ink on. And I'm going to make, you'll see what I'm going to make. But I've gotten some sort of medium weight chipboard here, and I've cut it down. I had the sizes there on the screen if you want to go ahead and jot those down if you're interested in making this project. But I put some double-sided tape on them. I'm going to pull it off, and I'm sticking them down to the back of the aluminum foil paper. Now with this one, I want to leave about 1/8 of an inch in between all of the pieces of chipboard so that it leaves some room for the booklet, the item that I'm making to open and close. And now I'm just going to go in and double-side tape the edges so that I can fold the aluminum foil paper over like I did with the other cover piece that I showed you guys just a few minutes ago. So I'm removing my tape, and I am folding over the edges of the aluminum foil paper. And you'll see me take a little stylus, I believe, and sort of dab down the edges there. That just makes a clean corner to make sure that once everything's all done and finished, that the points on all 4 corners are clean and they kind of look great. So now that I've folded that all down, I'm going back in with my double-sided tape on this piece of liner paper, and there are the measurements there if you're interested. And it's just a piece of craft cardstock that I've covered the backside with double-sided tape, and I'm actually gluing on the edges because that it makes sure that the edges are nice and stuck down, because the edges are where you definitely don't want things pulling up. So I'm going to get my bone folder, and I'm going to sort of burnish everything down, and while I'm burnishing it, I'm going to start folding in the places where the cardstock is. There are spaces between the cardstock pieces. So with this particular project, I ended up making 2 pockets as well. And these pockets are going to hold the paper pads that are going to go inside of the project. It's a very easy pocket. It's very easy tutorial to follow. I'm just doing some score lines now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the score lines over, and then I'm going to trim off some of these little pieces. So I'll do my folding, and you'll see I'm going to cut off that piece in the corner, and I'm cutting it at an angle so that when it's done, it kind of looks just like that. It has angled edges, and I'm also going to end up cutting off a longer piece at the bottom. I think I did that sort of after the fact. Okay, so I'm cutting the other corner now, and here's the longer piece that I was going to trim off. You just want to cut one of those bottom pieces off so that it will fold up cleanly. And so you have one tab on the bottom and one tab on the side, and both of them are going to be folded over and up and glued to the back part of the pocket. Now, if your tabs don't fold cleanly, you can always trim off a tiny bit of the main pocket piece, but they should fold over pretty well. And so there you have your simple pocket. Now this pocket is going to go inside of our little booklet cover that we made before. Now this is it's called a scratch pad, but I mean you can use any sort of pad that you have. You can use watercolor paper, you can use whatever you have to make this journal booklet thing, whatever we want to call this thing. You can use whatever pads of paper you have. So what I'm doing is I put the scratch pad in the pocket to make sure that everything would be centered properly with the pad in there. I want to see the visual of it. And then I'm just using some of my white craft glue to glue the pocket down and give it a good burnish. And I will probably end up putting it under something to make sure that it sticks down really well. And so here is the second pocket. And what I'm doing here is measuring out the exact center of this pocket while it's laying on top of the other pocket, because that's where it's going to be placed. And on this exact center, I am using some hot glue to glue down a tiny little pen loop that I just put a little stitch into. And on the back of that pen loop is a glue dot, and I'm adding some white glue as well. This is to make sure, and I'm adding some hot glue. This is to make sure that everything sticks down really well. We don't want any tension on that pen loop to be able to pull it out or anything like that. Now I put a stitch in a piece of elastic, but you can also buy pen loops because they come with the adhesive already on them. And also here I added some of those hard corners to protect them, and this is how our booklet came out. I think it ended up looking pretty cool, and these are all the projects that I was able to make with those few pieces of compressed aluminum foil. Now these little booklets, like I said, I showed you the cover that I made these with, and they're really easy to sort of bind up. You'll probably find that link to where you can find a tutorial to do that. And that was the booklet that we made. And then this is a little stitch book that I made. I just put a few little stitches in it with my little brother sewing machine and folded it over and stapled it. Some tags, and then this is a cute little accordion book that I made, and I'll also drop a link to that where I made one of these before. And this paper is really, that's the embossed one. This paper really turned out very sturdy, very versatile, and I was pretty surprised by it. I did a blue version there too, which I also embossed, and those came out really beautiful as well. So I hope you guys like this. I did. I thought it was fun, and I hope that you enjoyed it and it'll get your creative juices flowing. Please don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like and comment, and go ahead and check out that next video. I hope to see you guys next time, and in the meantime, keep creating and making. Bye bye.